Welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show. We call this America's firewall because we are the wall that is stopping the fire in so many ways. We're working together with organizations throughout the country to save America. We're going to leave it all on the field in 2024 because I really do believe it's the imperative year for breakthrough. I got Mercedes Sparks manning the fact checker desk over there to my side.
Is that what it is today?
That's what it is. It's fact checking. What do we got? We have a pink sheep. Is there a meaning behind that, or is it just part of your?
I just had to move him yesterday because we were shooting and he was distracting in the corner. So I just pulled him out. Now he's on my desk.
Well, we can't pull the camera out, but I want you to know that Mercedes is sitting there, lotus style, like Middle East meditating, with her legs crossed on her chair,
applesauce, man.
without shoes on. Crisscross applesauce.
Crisscross applesauce. Yeah. I got to maintain that flexibility. So do you. I was telling Larry the other day, my husband, I'm like, we got to work on stretching because he can't touch his toes and stuff, man. That's concerning.
He can't touch his toes.
No.
But I can show him I can touch my toes. And my father was always very competitive that way. Up in 90 years old. Watch this. Look how fast I can move. You can shovel it down. Look how fast I'm moving. It's hilarious.
You know, I'm realizing, though, we should just tell everybody on Unravel, we do have our conference coming up real soon. We have a conference in January coming up. Please come out and visit us. And it is basically all on staying younger, looking younger,
It's at the Trump Direct. Here's all you got to know. My staff picks locations for conferences and then convinces me, you know what we need to do? We need to go to the Trump Doral during the winter. I go, why? For a conference. And so, but this is going to be great. It's about fitness. I'm talking about fit and fat and sexy and strong after 50. That's my focus. And if you're younger, it's fine. She's younger. A lot of them are younger. But I'm talking about after 50. We want to be a generation that looks the best, that has the energy for the race. Because you know that what's happened is we're living longer. So you've got to have a fitness. I'm not talking about getting by. I'm talking about feeling great. So I've got 5 professionals coming in. I'm not going to labor the point. I'm just going to tell you I got 5, right on down to stem cell technology, miraculous new technology that's that. We got the scientists coming in. Just check it out. It's like lancewallnau.com/summit. Meet me in Florida. We're going if for nothing else, it's the Winter Blues blowout. You want to be there. What are the dates for it anyway?
January 19th and 20th.
Yeah, January is perfect time to be there, right? Okay. Who would have thought that 2,543 years ago, we'd get a scoop on the news? I'm talking about, it was 520 BC, an 80-year-old prophet by the name of Haggai. Comes out kind of I don't know, he seems like a cranky guy. He's only got 2 chapters in the Bible. Maybe he knew he was only going to have 2 chapters. It's a big book, he only has 2 chapters. But an 80-year-old prophet shows up at a pivotal sign in Jewish history when the emperor, the ruler Cyrus, releases the Jewish people from Babylonian captivity to go back to their homeland to rebuild their temple. Now, this book fascinates me, people, because unlike any other religion, this could be so easily dismantled if it wasn't for the fact that it's like got over 1,000 prophecies in it, reaching right into today and the future. And it's all happening. This is what makes eschatology and prophetic and Bible people so fanatical. Because those of us that are students that have degrees, that are scholars, I'm not calling myself a scholar, but I have a degree. We both have degrees in Bible hermeneutics and various other things. I want you to know something. The Bible has the data. For instance, I'm reading a verse that I use all the time. Everything in the last days that can be shaken will be shaken. The Lord said, I'm going to shake the heavens, are going to shake the earth. You're watching political shakings. You're watching economic shakings. You're watching international orders that are shaking and overturning and realigning. Our anxiety, of course, is because we're watching very closely what's happening with $35 trillion of debt, a wide open border with 8 million aliens. Like Bannon says, you got 3 military platoons or battalions crossing the border every day. Don't get me going. What amazes me is 2,543 years ago, the prophet that said that in these last days, everything will be shaken and nations are going to be shaken. He prophesied it. Chapter 2 of Haggai, verse 1. In the 7th month, on the 21st day of the month, the word of the Lord came to Haggai the prophet. I look at these details sometimes, Mercedes, in the Bible, and I say, what's the reason for giving a day and a month? Who cares? You know? I'll tell you why it matters. Because the 7th month and the 21st day happens to be the ending of the 3rd feast that the Jewish people observe. It's called the Feast of Tabernacles. There's a feast they have for like Passover. They have a feast for Pentecost, and they have a feast for Tabernacles. It's the 3rd one. It's the first 2 have already been fulfilled in Jewish history. The first 2 have already been fulfilled in church history. Jesus on Passover, the night in which he was betrayed, he took the cup, and he identified with the Passover. The upper room in the book of Acts, if you have the Bible, is where Pentecost took place. That's where you got 200 million, 140 million Pentecostals in the world right now that all have experienced something similar to Acts chapter 2. Pentecost. We never had a fulfillment of tabernacles. It's the end time feast. Now, I know this sounds a little strange, but those of you that are somewhat biblically literate, you'll appreciate what I'm about to say. When did Hamas attack Israel? The 7th month and the 21st day of the month. October 16th. October 16th, the day Hamas attacked Israel, was the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Exactly the same day as Haggai had the word of the Lord saying, God says in the last days, the shaking is going to touch every nation. I believe what's starting now with Hamas, that Iran is behind, is going to result in a global shakeup. And if it gives you any consolation, it didn't happen because some evil characters decided on a plot on a certain day. It's because God in his own providence foresaw that the nations would be shaken, and that the day in which an incident would happen that would begin that domino falling effect would be the 7th month, 21st day, which for us translates in the Gregorian calendar to October 16th, 2023. Now, the shaking doesn't mean that there isn't going to be certain advantages to the instability of the global order. So, for instance, many of us are speculating on the fact that we would not have the exposure of the radical nature of the left on the campuses. It's almost like there was a kind of a, how shall I say, a cosmic indifference to the condition of the American youth, as long as it's BLM and critical race and Marxists and transgenders. Like a fog comes over my generation. I don't understand. Why are they upset? Pulling statues down. Is it offensive? I mean, what is it? Now we know, because of Hamas, when students come out saying, kill the Jews, it's like a Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction. Sometimes a mistake goes a little too far. And I would say that Hamas has actually fragmented the Democratic Party because the moderate Jewish donors and the moderate Jewish Democrats are now realizing the balancing act the Democrats got to do is how do they hold on to their campus radicals, their wacko faction, including their PLO hating the Jews and hating Western civilization. Now that it's out of the closet, and we all know they really hate Western civilization, that's me. No kidding, Sherlock Holmes. 13 Americans are among those that are being held hostage by Hamas, while the 31 groups on Harvard are celebrating Hamas. They're celebrating the capture of 13 Americans. So what do you think? I think it's a wake-up. I think we're realizing how bad the education system is, how diluted it is. And I think we're finally getting the guts to do what should have been done a long time ago, which is to take government funding away from any university that doesn't have a diversity of viewpoints. How's that for a novel idea? We need some diversity. 17 liberal, progressive, Marxist professors to every one potential conservative, and they don't even exist in sociology anymore. They can only exist in the STEM sciences, which is where you're not even going to get political ideology, unless the left tells you that arithmetic is, racist. Mercedes, I'm going to transition. Do you have any thoughts you want to make on this? I'm just saying the Bible predicts the day is the shaking begun. But I think there's a positive to this. I think this could set up Trump. I pray to God it sets up Trump. The guy that gave us the Abraham Accords, the guy that gave us taking out Soleimani. Now you know why you got to take out the regime over there in Iran when you have the power to do it. They're shooting in 4,000 rockets from Houthis, and Trump put him on a terror list. What does Biden, the knucklehead, do? He takes them off the terror list. Now they're shooting at American soldiers. If I seem a little worked up, it's because most people don't have the facts. I got the facts. The facts freak you out. Nevertheless, Mercedes, we can be optimistic because I do think that's paving the way for a shaking, and some of the shaking's unintended consequence is it's making a way, I think, for the left to be exposed in a way that they weren't exposed the last time, and it's making a way for Trump. I want to cue my producer. If you haven't seen it yet, I'd like to see it once a day, how the crowd goes wild as Trump and Tucker go into the UFC 295 Madison Square Garden fight. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I just always think it's funny, Lance. My main thought is we need to get you studio audience because I like how you are like, Mercedes. And then like, I don't have an opportunity to say anything, but I just think it's hilarious. We got to get a studio audience for you. We need a bigger building. That's what we need. Those are my comments. Because you're right on. I can't really follow anything up on this. It's sick to me. You know, you wonder how long it took in Germany for the Nazi way of thinking to like really take over in culture. But there's so many people protesting right now. It's a little alarming. Like, when did it start in Germany and how long did it take before it took over?
Well, that's actually, I want to go to that UFC thing, but
I think we could play it in the next clip. I think we got it lined up for the next segment because we only got a couple seconds left.
Okay, 4 seconds. You don't want to miss this. We're going to come right back. You're going to love it. What happens if a natural disaster takes place? We have these weird tornadoes that hit in the Midwest and in Texas, but look at the hurricanes in Florida. People can literally have their houses flooded, or they're in a situation where they have no food or access to groceries. Everyone needs at least a 4-week emergency food kit. And fortunately, My Patriot Supply has created a 4-week emergency kit. And these products will last for 25 years. The interesting thing is they give you a 2,000 calorie per day meal. And that's the key. Delicious and 2,000 calories a day, because that's what you're going to need to sustain yourself for 4 weeks in a crisis. We had a winter freeze here in Texas, of all places. And we had a couple of days where we had no electricity. I'm telling you something, this makes a huge difference. Mushroom rice pilaf, fluffy rice and mushrooms, seasoned with red wine and herb. And then how about starting the day off? Maple Grove oatmeal, old-fashioned oats, maple flavoring with a pinch of brown sugar. This is what you want to do. 4-week emergency food kit, and that's just for you. Think about your children. Guarantee somebody around you is going to need help. You're going to want to at least have the 4-week emergency kit. Go to lancewallnau.com/patriot. Use that link, and you're going to get a special discount on their special 4-week emergency kit promotion. Listen, you know, earlier on, Mercedes made a point. She said, how long did it take for the Jews to go from being part of the citizenship of Germany to being a vilified minority? And we were at dinner last night with a good Dr. Goodman and his wife.
Dr. Goodman and his wife,
What did she say?
Oh, well, I was wondering if you knew, but we were just having like small talk conversation. We were talking about that. And she said, you know, it took 7 years for it to evolve from, you know, just general, Jews to let's round them all up and put them in work camps and labor camps and kill them. So test on them. So it's just interesting.
7 years of propaganda. And listen, it happened before 7 because they were able to start, the war started 4 years early. So they were doing it. But it's not going to be so easy to happen now, because this is where the left is exposing itself as a sick psychosis. Now the dyed-in-the-wool left progressives will never see the obvious, but the rest of America is going, what the heck? These are pro-Hamas people in America? Trust me, there's a lot of normal people that aren't right-wingers that are disenchanted and concerned about what's going on in America. That's good for us, Babylon Bee, in its own ironic sense, has grabbed Mercedes' question as to Nazis and coming back to the current day. Check this meme out. 80 years after Hitler failed, Nazis finally seized London. And it's this is what was going on with the protests in London. Anti-Semitism. They're finally celebrating it. By the way, along the same lines, let's go where the church shouldn't be political. And this ironically is true. The church shouldn't be political, says the pastor with BLM and pride flags on his building. Isn't it amazing that the pastors that are the most vociferous about not getting involved with politics are the ones that are the most compromised with wokeism? They don't recognize woke is politics. By the way, I had a meeting today with some folks with Charlie Kirk's team from Turning Point, because we're going to be going to every swing state. We're going to be doing rallies. We're going to be doing rallies in every state. And we're going to be working with Turning Point and with other conservative groups, hopefully Moms for Liberty and other groups. We're going to work with them. We want to rally and bring an awakening and bring the movement and the moment into clear strength in all of these states. But I asked them what they're doing in Texas, because I'm in Dallas. They said, well, Texas is one of the strongest states in terms of people that support our vision. But Texas is one of the most apathetic states in terms of Great Awakening. Now, why is it that with all the churches we have in Texas, we do not have all the fervor and strength? I mean, when we show up in a rally, it's weird. We could be in upstate Batavia, New York, pack out a tent. Bakersfield, California, pack out a tent. Colorado Springs, which has gone strangely blue and purple, boom, pack out a tent. But I don't know about Texas. I'm wondering. I mean, I'm sure we put it in the right place, but why are we apathetic in Texas? Because I think some states are in danger. I think Florida, we worry about Florida sometimes because they feel secure there. Mm-hmm. You know, Bezos is moving to Florida. He's leaving Washington State to go to Florida. This is the liberal billionaire class loves. They're all flying off to Florida. Even the podcasters like Joe Rogan and those guys are taking off, moving to Texas, to Austin. It concerns me. And it concerns me for the obvious reason that people are leaving what doesn't work to go bring the ideas that don't work into places that do work, potentially messing them up so they don't work. So we have, I love the Trump swing state, latest Babylon Bee. You need a little bit of this every now and then. If you don't see it, you got to catch it. We'll give it to you right here. Swing state lead expected to hold till 3 a.m. Why is this funny? Because it's got an element of truth. I sat up till 3 a.m. when the lead was there. And then suddenly, it dissipates. All right. I want to talk to you for a second, going back to, I know I seem to be digressing here, but I got to go back, and I just had to have a moment of whimsy to go back to the pain of Jews outside the White House on Israel March D-Day. Mark Levin. Mark Levin. Check it out. Well, you had that. Notice it's not quite as rowdy as the barbarians at the gate that were shaking the gates and ready to go attack the White House with the pro-PLO protesters. But I think there's a picture Ben Bergquam has. If you guys can show the tweet image number 3, it's quite a crowd, a massive crowd. It's out there. Gives you an idea of Real America's Voice. Ben Bergquam. You know, I knew Ben before he was working with RAV. I loved him back then. We met him up in Canada. So I want to go to, we got our own private footage, our own reporters. Mercedes Sparks and Chelsea were there leading the Veterans Day Parade. Mercedes, I couldn't believe it. You were up there celebrating the veterans, and you and Chelsea with her big megaphone directing traffic. And was there a good turnout for the first Veterans Parade in American history?
Well, Lance, yes, there was. Let me put on my Veterans Day Parade hat. It's the very first one ever in Washington, D.C., if you can believe it. And so our good friends, Fran and Diane Ventura, put that on. And so we thought, oh, we'll come help. But little did I know, Chelsea and I would be lining up almost 200 different vehicles, 5 marching bands, and a partridge in a pear tree. There were so many people up there. Almost, I want to say about 6,000 people all along Constitution there lined up to see the first Veterans Day Parade. So, yeah.
Look at that.
Yep. Like we had all sorts of people. I think that's the 3rd Army Infantry. They've got the colors there. I see they got some photos pulled for us, but it was just awesome. It was amazing to see. And, but what was even crazier, so this is veterans pulling for PTSD. So he's pulling a whole weighted trailer there. He's physically pulling that on his own just to show the burden of pulling and dealing with the stress, the weight of stress. Yes, no, of PTSD from our veterans. So anyways, but what was really crazy, oh, there's me. Chelsea pulled one from Facebook. Chelsea lined all of these up. We don't normally get to see Chelsea, but she's our executive producer on the show. But I left her with the more difficult job of lining up like the first 20 vehicles. Anyways, all that to say, I'm trying to get to the point.
We got 3 minutes. I got to get to I got more footage I got to show.
What do you got? More footage? Well, I was going to show the photos though of the of them pulling down.
That's what I want. Item 4. Go to item 4.
Yeah. So
what do we got here?
This is all along Pennsylvania Avenue, and you know what I've been seeing on the news are the posters being put up all in these cities about Israelis who had been killed by Hamas. But here in D.C., there aren't images of that. It's images of, quote, Palestinians killed by Israel. So
these were and the saying on each of these polls is going so fast, what you don't see. Murdered by Israel. They're tearing down all the hostages. They're tearing down all the people murdered by Hamas. And they're putting up faces of basically, we have no idea how to verify this, of kids that are murdered by Israel. That spirit that is in Washington, D.C., that stalks the streets, it's like an orc. It's like something out of Tolkien. They should just obliterate it. I don't know how you're going to cleanse the city of that garbage. But by the way, they're disfigured you have Ben Franklin there outside the Trump Hotel.
Yeah, I think Chelsea saw that and they had on there.
Former Trump Hotel.
Yeah, now it's the Waldorf Astoria, but it says Free Gaza right there on that statue. So that's all kind of scattered throughout the city. I do want to say, Lance, I don't want to make it sound so bleak because when I was there, I was just really praying. I mean, again, 6,000 people that came out for the Veterans Day Parade there to honor veterans. It's a mix up there. And I do feel like I feel angels there. I feel God's presence there. And I just was agreeing with all those prayers like, God, save America. God, save this nation. And honestly, bring unity. I mean, we're more divided than ever. And so anyways, it's a really unique place to be, and we need to be praying for it.
Well, I mean, just go into saying right now, I believe God is shaking things up and he is moving in such a way that America is being saved. And part of it is he has to expose the condition, the root of the situation. And I heard Trump say it, and I think he's right. He said, I think the pain's going to have to get worse for America to get better. Now, let me talk for 1 minute, 30 seconds. I got to cover something real fast. We had election results recently, and I didn't get a chance to talk about them on this platform. But I want to say we lost. It was sad. I mean, legalization of weed, ballot initiative in Ohio. Shocking. Church in Ohio better wake up. Same thing with the same-sex marriage. Abortion enshrined in the Constitution, protected in the Constitution. We saw 32 ballot measures. I can't get Christians to do ballot measures. The left loves them. 32 were released last week. They got a whole slew of them. 6 new states are going to go for codifying abortion rights. They see it as a big win. What's good news is that every place in the United States where they felt the pain of crime, corruption, and economic loss, they flipped from blue to red. I mean, even the Bronx in New York, the Bronx locked up Democrat territory since I was a kid, flipped over to Republican. So what that tells you is where people have a false sense of ease, the lawlessness tends to win. But where people are becoming anxious and awakened and aware of the pain, they tend to flip over. They're going towards Republican, conservative values for solutions. Now we got to clean up that Republican Party because that's the vehicle that's messed up. We're going to be back again with our next broadcast. You don't want to miss it. God bless you. This is Lance Wallnau on Firewall.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.